Hello coin collectors out there, welcome back to the Big D Coins channel. In today's video we are going to talk about this coin in the center right here. It's the 1944 Mercury dime. In this video we will talk about how many of them were made, the metal content, and yes, these are silver, but they're actually a pretty small coin, so the melt value might be a little bit lower than you are expecting. We'll talk about what these are selling for in both the average condition and highly graded coins that have the full bands designation to it. We'll talk about if there are any errors associated with this series and just a lot of great stuff to talk about related to the 1944 Mercury dime. Now, first, before we talk about the Mercury dime, in case you're unfamiliar with the series, the Mercury dime came after the Barber dime series. As featured right here, the Barber dime series started way back in the 1800s. It started in exactly 1892 and went up until 1916. And then there was actually a transition year in the year 1916. They made both the Barber dimes and the Mercury dimes. Now, the Mercury dimes actually weren't the original name of the coin. They were originally called the Winged Liberty coin. Now, the Winged Liberty coin was then kind of nicknamed the Mercury dime because the Lady Liberty, appearing right here with the cap that she's wearing, the winged cap, resembled the Roman god Mercury, which also wore a figrum cap. So that's why the nickname kind of stuck on for Mercury dime, and that's kind of a easier thing to say than the Winged Liberty head dime. Mercury dime kind of rolls off the tongue a lot better and has much fewer syllables to it. So we've got the Mercury dime right here. These were made from 1916 up until 1945. So these are the last 3 years of production right here. We've got a 1943, a 1944, and a 1945. I'll make some separate videos about the 43 and the 45 if you are interested in finding out more information about those. But let's zoom in on this one right here. Now, the designer of the coin was named Adolf Weinman. So the W that you see on the obverse of the coin right here is not the West Point Mint mark. That is the W for the designer's last name, Adolf Weinman. That's very important to note. If you're looking for the mint mark on the coin, it will be located right here. This one is absent a mint mark, so that indicates it is from the Philadelphia Mint. But here is the 1943 we were looking at earlier, and we flip it over and we see the D mint mark right there. So use that as a reference for where to find the mint mark on your coin. Now, as far as the mintages of this coin goes, in 1944, there were 231,410,000 of these that were made without the mint mark on them. So at the Philadelphia Mint, there were also 62 million made at the Denver Mint and 49 million made at the San Francisco Mint. The Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints will all have the same price up until once you get into the Mint State 65 grade. At a Mint State 65 grade, the Philadelphia Mint will be worth $25. The Denver Mint will be worth $30, and the San Francisco will be worth $30 as well. And that's according to the official Red Book. Some of the other sources that I like to use are the Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die and Variety Coins. That is also a book that you have to go out there and purchase, but it's certainly worth it if you're into coin collecting. There's also the PCGS website, which we'll get into a little bit later in the video, but they have a coin facts, and they have also a price guide. So PCGS is a very famous, reputable coin grading agency, and what they do is they grade coins. So there's a coin grading scale, which goes from 0 to 70. And they'll grade a coin for you and tell exactly what grade it is, and that way we can have kind of a uniform grading system that people can buy and sell coins based off of. NGC is also another grading agency you might have heard of before. For the 1944 Mercury dime that we see right here, without the full bands designation, at the Mint State 60, well, we already talked about the Mint State 65, but if we go higher to the Mint State 68, PCGS has graded 5 of those, has a price guide of $300 for those. However, no PCGS 1944 Mercury dimes without the full bands designation have been sold at auction. PCGS has graded a lot of them at a mid-state 66, actually. They've graded 3,120 of those. Again, we're talking about the 1944 Philadelphia Mercury dime, and they've graded 3,000 of those at a mid-state 66, and those have a price guide of $35. So these coins will be worth some money, but not a lot of money unless you can get above a 66. So 66 plus is where it starts to get really rare. Now, PCGS does have a rarity and survival estimate guide, which is another cool feature on their site. They estimate that 45,000 of these have survived in all grades, 12,000 have survived in a mid-state 60 or better, and just 8,000 in a mid-state 65 or better. So that's a very cool feature of the PCGS website as well. What you're looking at on the reverse, I should kind of explain this a little bit. What you see in the center right here is called a fasces. A fasces is just a bundle of wooden rods, and then we sometimes see an axe, which we do in this case right here, with the blade emerging from the top. We've also got a olive branch kind of going around the back. We see the E pluribus unum motto that we see on a lot of US coins right here. Now, if your coin has the full bands designation, it will be worth quite a lot of money. So PCGS grades the full bands designation separately, and those ones are worth, as I said, a lot more money. The highest valued one that they've got for the 1944 Philadelphia Mint is a mid-state 68 with the full bands, and that has a price guide of $13,500. So quite a lot of money for the full bands. Now, in order for it to get the full bands, you need to see how there's a split right there. You need to see that going all the way across for all of the bands that you see on the reverse side of the Mercury dime. Now, the Mercury dime will kind of wear and tear. The most common place that it wears out the first are the high points, as well as kind of the near the edges. So here's an example of one that is worn out quite a lot. This is the 1916. Now, the 1916, as I mentioned, is going to be the first year that these were made. The mintages on the 1916 are just 22 million for the Philadelphia Mint compared to the 231 million that we're looking at right here. But as you see with mine, the high points of the coin, which are these details right here, have completely worn out. The lettering is starting to fade, as you can see, and the rim is starting to merge in. As far as grading this coin, let's talk about kind of some of the lower end grades, because that's likely what you've got in front of you right now. So now we are talking about the different grades for how to grade your Mercury dime. A very fine dime that has a grade of 20, a VF 20, that shows moderate to minor wear, exists only on the highest parts of the design. So that's, I think this one right here could probably get graded at a 20. This orange stuff could be moved off if I were to clean it carefully. So we have moderate to minor wear exists only on the highest parts of the design, where a slight flatness is beginning to show. The overall condition of the coin is pleasing and attractive. Now, once we get into the EF 40, so that's a 40 out of 70, so that's a much nicer coin, extremely fine coin. Has only slightest wear on the highest points of the coin. All of the details are sharp and the design elements are well defined. Now, I wouldn't say that these details right here are very sharp or well defined. I've got a couple of other ones that I've got right by my side that I'll bring in, which kind of show the details a little bit better. So we see a little bit more detail there, and we've got a little more detail in this 1945 right here with the actual winged cap. So that is a EF40, so I'd guess this coin is much closer to the very fine 20 versus the extremely fine 40. Now, a mid-state coin, mid-state means that it's uncirculated, so it doesn't have any wear and tear. The differences between the mid-state 60 up until mid-state 70 are going to depend on how well the coin was struck. In order for it to get that really high mid-state 67 or better grade, it has to be struck really well. Here's the definition of a mid-state 67. The original mint luster is complete and almost perfect. There are only 3 or 4 tiny and unnoticeable contact marks. Overall, the coin has extraordinary eye appeal. This is seldom seen in the Mint State 67. So that's kind of the basic definition of the Mint State 67. I might have kind of bored you a little bit with those definitions of how to grade your coin, but let's quickly kind of recap what we looked at today for this 1944 Mercury dime. So we talked about the fact that there are 231 million of these made at the Philadelphia Mint. The mint mark, if you have one, will be located right there. If your coin has the full bands designation, meaning that you can see a split right here in the bands on the fasties on the reverse, then it will be worth quite a lot of money. If it doesn't, but it's still in a Mint State 65 grade, it will be worth around $30. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy and best of luck coin collecting out there. Take care.